Now available in paperback and Kindle, Stop Simping in Cyberspace. Learn how to avoid predatory females like Instagram models and e-girls in their virtual con games with Stop Simping in Cyberspace. Get your copy of Stop Simping in Cyberspace in paperback and Kindle today. One of the most insidious bullies that a child or an adult will encounter is the nerd bully. Now, the mainstream media will have you believe that the nerd oftentimes is the victim of bullying because of their smaller size. However, many nerds can be just as much a bully as a larger child or an adult. Now, your nerd bully, they don't use physical force to coerce people to do the things that they want. No, what they do is they use information as a way to get leverage over people, and then they use that information as a way to go out here and emotionally blackmail people and emotionally abuse people as they are doing their bidding. Now, the nerd bully, what they try to do is they try to gain leverage over people by trying to control the information that they need. And your nerd bully, what they do because they believe that they are smarter than other people, is what they try to do is get a hold of some information that people need, and then when people come to them, they try to use that information as a way to gain leverage over those people. Now, your nerd bully comes from the same place that a regular bully comes from, and that place is insecurity. Your nerd bully is someone who fears losing the attention that they're receiving from people, and they try to use the information that they have as a way to gain leverage over a group of people so that they can continue receiving attention from those people, and they try to use it as a way to broker power for themselves. So your nerd bully, this is a very insidious individual because when they see that people need their information, what they do is try to create a covert contract between themselves and the people that they're involved with so that they can continue receiving attention from those people. So what your nerd bully will go out here and do is he will be an expert in some area that most people aren't, like computers or science. And what he will do is because somebody comes to him looking for some information, what he does is he tries to turn this into a covert contract so that he can continue receiving attention from those individuals who would in many cases wind up leaving him alone once they get the information that they want. Now, this is an extremely dishonest thing to do, but your nerd bully is an extremely insecure individual, and they fear that they won't be the center of attention. So what they do in the beginning is try to play friendly by sharing information with you, but really they want to use this information as a way to gain power and control over a group of people, and they want to be able to make those people do what they want them to do. And that's how insidious the nerd bully is, because when he's talking about sharing his information, he oftentimes withholds information so that he can continue to maintain power over a group. So a group of people will come to him looking for help on a computer or help with something scientific, and what he will do is he will go out here and share the information in the beginning, but as things go on, he will withhold information from people and then try to use this to broker further social relationships or broker further business relationships. And what he will do, like if he's involved with a girl who needs information, is he will try to use this to try to get a date with the woman, and he will try to use this to try to foster a relationship with the woman. Again, it's extremely dishonest to do this, but the nerd bully believes that this will allow him to maintain control over the situation, and he believes this will allow him to still remain the center of attention. Now, your nerd bullies, they also like to try to use information to control people. And what they do is they'll go out here and they will have a piece of information and they will go out here and try to use it to gain leverage in a situation. So, your nerd bully, he will find out that a guy out here either wants something from him or he wants to get this thing. So what he will do is tell the guy that if he wants this thing from him, that he has to do what he says. Now, the person who enters this covert contract with the nerd bully, what will happen is they will try to work with this person believing that they are being honest as related to the terms that they have agreed to. But what the nerd bully will do is once you are getting close to finishing the terms of your agreement, they will go out here and alter the deal and change the terms. And this is something I like to call the string along game, because what the nerd bully hopes to do is try to continue maintaining the relationship through this codependent exchange, where what they want to do is continue making more demands of the individual. Now, the main reason why the nerd bully changes the terms as related to the relationship, as related to the deals that they make, is what they are extremely insecure. And because this is one of the rare times that they've gotten attention, they fear that once you end the deal, that you are no longer going to want to have a relationship with them. And it's this fear that has them continuing to try to continue to move the goalpost and continue to keep things going, because they are afraid that they will no longer be the center of attention. So what they want to do is continue to keep this codependent relationship between you and them going by continuing to change the terms of whatever agreement you have set. Because oftentimes when you agree with a nerd bully, yes, he will agree to terms in the beginning, but then once you get towards completing the deal with the nerd bully, he wants to go out here and change the terms. And again, that is so he can continue this relationship, so he can continue receiving attention. And a lot of times when your nerd bullies do this, again, that's that insecurity flaring up. And as that insecurity flares up, they start to gain a sense of false confidence. And that's because when they see people continuing to go along with their game, what happens is they start to feel this false sense of confidence because they believe they have leverage as related to the codependent relationship they're having with people. And this leads to the nerd bully going out here and escalating their behavior by asking for more absurd items. So the individual, they will go out here, and once they see that the person really is desperate and wants said item, what they will do is escalate their terms and escalate their price and ask for more items. And the reason why they're asking for more is not because they want more money. No, what they want is the power that they have. And in a lot of cases with nerd bullies, this is the first time they've actually had any sort of power in their lives. And because this is the first time they have gotten any real power in their lives, these individuals get drunk with power. And what happens with your nerd bully as he is continuing to move the goalpost, his terms as related to the agreement get more and more absurd, and it eventually reaches a point where the individual that they are victimizing eventually starts to think critically and realize that any agreement with this person will never end, because this individual, they are not about being honest as related to any deal that you have. It is all about them continuing to have the power and the remaining the center of attention, because this person eventually gets addicted to the power and attention that they're receiving. And usually that's where the whole situation with the nerd bully eventually explodes into a complete disaster. Oftentimes, what happens with your nerd bullies is that they start to think that they're smarter than they actually are, and they start to get so full of themselves as related to the superior position that they believe that they don't think that the person that they're dealing with has everything to lose, so they think that they can control them indefinitely. So what happens with the nerd bully is they think that this situation is going to go on forever, not understanding that if you push a person to the breaking point, that's when a person has nothing to lose. And when a person reaches the point where they have nothing to lose, that's when the nerd bully practically paints himself into the corner as related to moving the goalpost, and that's when the nerd bully really gets the worst beating of his life, or in some cases, he or she winds up losing their life because as they're trying to gain more and more attention for themselves, what happens is they wind up pushing a person too far and they wind up taking themselves over a bridge too far. Now, healthy people, they don't mind helping other people, and it's not about them getting attention for themselves. No, for a healthy person, they want to have an honest relationship with people, and a healthy person, once they have gone out here and completed the deal with an individual as related to information, they then move on. It is not about them trying to foster a relationship through dishonest means. No, a person who has a base of knowledge or a base of skills, once they have finished whatever they have completed, they are willing to put a period at the end of things and move on. Because a person who is honest, what they understand is that if people value me, they're going to value me as a person, and I don't need to use information as an attachment to try to secure attention for themselves. That's what a person of character knows. They don't need to go out here and use information as a way to try to control others or try to foster codependent relationships with others. No, they want healthy interdependent relationships with others. And in a healthy interdependent relationship, if people need information, they have no problem sharing information that will help them. And because they are honest, people will respect them eventually. And as they're respecting them, what will happen is that they will build a reputation as related to being a person of character, and that is going to allow them to foster healthy relationships. But nerd bullies don't want to foster healthy relationships because they fear other people having power in the relationship. So many of your nerd bullies, they fear a person having any sort of power in a relationship, to say no to them, to disagree with them, or to present differences of opinions to them. And because they fear another person having power in the relationship, that's why they want to control the information in the relationship and then eventually try to control the individual. And that's why people really hate nerd bullies above your physically abusive bully, because this bully, what they want to do is not only not only manipulate you, they want to emotionally abuse you, because oftentimes when you're dealing with your nerd bully, they come from a place of extreme arrogance, they come from a place of condescension and paternalism, and they oftentimes start to emotionally abuse people by making themselves out to be the so-called intellectual superior, and then they use that position to go out here and browbeat an individual as they are moving the goalpost, and oftentimes they use that position to go out here and be able to try to get even with all of the people who they believe have hurt them in the past. And these are not real physical people, these are imaginary people in their minds, and what they want to do is make people suffer for all of the past humiliations that they have suffered, and they want to go out here and do that by projecting all of their anger on the individuals that they have issues with. So your nerd bully is a very cruel individual, and they are a very emotionally abusive individual, because as you are trying to work with them as related to their terms, and they are continuing to raise the stakes of those terms, what they do is they get extremely arrogant. They start talking down to you, they start condescending to you, and they use their mouths to go out here and verbally and emotionally abuse you. And what they want to do is break people down so that they can continue to maintain power over them. But the whole thing with the nerd bully is the nerd bully is one of the weakest of all of the bullies. And if you have the courage to stand up for yourself, you can shut a nerd bully down within 1 or 2 minutes. Because anybody who can identify a nerd bully and the games that they play, they can shut them down by setting healthy boundaries. And they do that by letting them know that you are going to honor the agreements we set early on, and we're going to stay with that agreement, and we are not altering the deal in any way, shape, or form. Once you set that boundary with a nerd bully, oftentimes that's when they will start to get emotional. That's when they will start acting crazy. And the reason why they are acting crazy is because they know they can't get power in the situation. And because they can't get power in the situation, what happens is they wind up exploding in rage and showing you that this person really has serious issues, because again, healthy people have no problem with agreeing to terms early on and sticking by those terms. They don't need to change agreements and change terms, because a business transaction is a business transaction, and once it's finished, people move on. But codependent people, they are insecure and they need to have power over someone because they feel powerless in their own lives. And that's why the nerd bully, he always looks for people who are in desperate need of information or in desperate need of attention, because he wants to get power over someone, because he feels powerless about his own life, and because he feels powerless about his own life. This is the only way he can get power in any situation. And what he wants to do is continue to move the goalpost and continue to string things along. And he will continue to string things along until he eventually winds up thinking that if he backs you into a corner, he can break you down. But if he usually when he backs people into corners, that's when he usually catches a beat down, or he winds up in a body bag, because he winds up pushing people too far. And once he pushes people to the point where they have nothing to lose, where they wind up realizing that their life would be a lot easier without him in their life. But the easiest way to deal with a nerd bully is to never put yourself in a position to make a deal with him. And if you need something from someone and you see them trying to create these kind of covert contracts, you let them know that either you're going to do things on your terms or they're not going to get done at all, because the nerd bully thinks he is the master of information. But in a world with an information superhighway and numerous other types of experts out here, you do not need the nerd bully. No, you can do without him, because his games of mental manipulation, his games of emotional abuse, and his constant moving the goalpost is something that you don't need to deal with, because this type of abuse is not something that is fosters in a healthy relationship. No, this type of relationship is a toxic one, and it is one that will just winds up breaking you down mentally, breaks you down emotionally, and breaks you down spiritually. And life is too short to let some nerd bully gain control over you. No, the way you deal with that nerd bully is from day one. See that if you see them playing these games, then cut them off and go find somebody else and let them know they are not going to be the center of your universe, and that you can go anywhere in the world to get your information, and you can go get your information from someone who understands what an interdependent relationship is, because in an interdependent relationship, people understand that yes, people want help, but they don't. When they want help in the area that they have, and once they've gotten their help, they are going to move on, and that's the way life works. It's not about you trying to foster and attach emotional hoses to people to keep them in their lives, because if you have to attach an emotional hose to someone to keep them in your life, then it shows that you have some serious insecurities, you have some serious issues, and you have really poor self-confidence because you don't trust people to want to be in your life, and you don't trust people to have a relationship with you, and in some cases you don't feel like you're worthy of a relationship unless you're the one controlling everything. And that's what makes nerd bullies extremely unlikable people that people stay away from. And the reason why these guys have no friends is because they drive people away with their desperate need for control and their desperate need for power. And it's that desperate need for power and control that leads to them abusing people. And it's that abuse of people that makes people want to have absolutely nothing to do with a nerd bully. And people, again, they think that nerds cannot go out here and bully people, but they are some of the most insidious bullies out there, and they are some of the most dangerous bullies out there, because most people, they won't see they're so busy looking for physically abusive bullies, but this emotionally abusive bully, this one can do damage to a person's mind, and it can do damage to a person's self-esteem over an extended period of time. I've dealt with my fair share of your nerd bullies when I was in junior high school, and they are some of the worst out there, and they are the ones that you really have to look out for, because these kind of individuals, they just leech onto an individual, and once they leech onto an individual, it can be next to impossible to pull this individual off if you don't know what you're doing. Now, smart guys from day one will yank this guy off and send him packing, but other guys who don't know the game with these kind of guys, they will wind up dealing with this type of parasite, and they will suck the life out of them to the point where the person no longer even thinks about being themselves. And that's what's really dangerous about this kind of guy. If you don't know who they are, you can wind up getting sucked into their whole codependent world, and you won't even know who you are, because this person will just destroy your confidence and your self-esteem with their emotionally abusive tactics and their condescension, and telling you that they're the smartest person or the person who can help you the most. And this person will suck the entire life out of someone. So this nerd bully, again, is a very dangerous individual, but you have to understand how to deal with them is to shut them down from day one, because the guy who shuts them down from day one and lets them know that the terms are going to be the terms, that's the one they walk away from, and that's the way you check them without even having to get physical with them. And some guys, they do get physical with these nerd bullies and just knock them out, but the best way to deal with them is to shut them down by letting them know that you're not going to play their games from minute one. Now, if you want to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon, my PayPal, or my Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. And if you want to learn more about men's issues and learn more about male predators like nerd bullies, you can pick up my book, Manginas, They Look Like Men But They Act Like Ladies, on Amazon.com. And you can pick up many of my other men's issues books like Stop Simping in the Workplace, Stop Simping in Cyberspace, and Why 70% of Black Women Are Single on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find these books on Smashwords, the iBookstore, and Google Play. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Coming to paperback and e-readers, eSteam Cancel Vacation. Hell's aspiring angel takes on a social justice social media mob looking to cancel her in this all-new E-Steam series adventure. Pre-order E-Steam Cancel Vacation on Amazon.com today.